Hello. So there's one more day until Royal Rumble, and I hope you're as excited as I am. All of the surprises, all of the nerdy stats, the excellent and the missteps, all in progress. Are we winding up for a completely new Wrestlemania main event? Who in the thumbnail made me think, when did Joe Biden show up on Talking Smack? Is it to call somebody a stupid son of a bitch? I'm Casualeann. Come with me. On January 22nd, 2022, we begin with Jackie Redmond and Matt Camp, here represented by the disembodied head suspended above a cerulean blue jacket. I jest, but nice vibrant shades going on between both of them. His blue is easily one of my favorite colors, and Redmond is quite pretty in pink. The first headline is Roman Reigns now being the longest reigning Universal Champion in WWE history. Mind you, he did hit that mark the previous week, but I guess they just chose this week to actually celebrate it. The jump in proper with the replay of the main event, the Usos versus Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens, with the stipulation that if the Usos won, Seth Rollins would no longer get to challenge Roman Reigns at the Royal Rumble, and if Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens won, the Usos would get barred from ringside. I will say that I hate it when stakes in the match automatically give you the result. Of course, no one expected Seth Rollins to not be able to challenge Roman Reigns anymore for the Royal Rumble. I agree with heightening a match with stakes, but it was just a silly set of stakes to place on the match. It was the same issue with Roman Reigns' SummerSlam title defense. For the Go Home show on SmackDown, he added that if he lost, he would leave the WWE. He wasn't leaving the WWE, and they had no writing for him to go. So you knew from the stakes that Roman was automatically going to win. But Usos, KO, Rollins, it was still a great match. Redmond and Camp bring in WWE Hall of Famer Jerry the King Lawler. On this episode, he drops into his music The Great Gay at Kiev from Mussorgsky's Pictures at an Exhibition. It was a very classy touch. Jackie Redmond asked King what he thought about Roman's interference, what it said about how seriously he might be taking Seth Rollins. King argues that Roman went into God mode for a little bit, having to get the last word. But he says he's won tons of matches during his time as champion without them, and Roman Reigns needs the Usos like a fish needs a bicycle. Camp brings in the other side, the fact that Roman has also won plenty of matches with the Usos' help. Matches with Kevin Owens being some of those instances. Redmond calls Rollins not having to worry about the Usos a relief. And then they move on to Kofi Kingston's declaration for the Royal Rumble. I'll say this one thing before moving on. Just because the Usos are barred from ringside does not mean that they won't interfere. All they have to do is wait until Roman gets in trouble and run out to save him. Kofi's interrupted declaration leads to another one-on-one match with Madcap Moss. Now Big E came out to watch, to assist, and his transition back into the mid-card is complete, folks. He's with Kofi, interacting with Baron Corbin and Madcap Moss. Redmond hints at one benefiting with a little help from their friends, except when it comes to the Royal Rumble. The New Day never turn on themselves. That would be the most sensational betrayal that would hopefully propel one of them into the stratosphere. But I doubt it'll ever happen. What I did not doubt, however, was that they would be asked about a possible betrayal. Well, egg on my face. Kayla Braxton is with Kingston and E. I pause, hope, and pray that this Big E will retain just 1/10 of his dignity. Kofi Kingston has a new name for his habitual opponent at this point, Madcap Moss. That's cute, I suppose. He says he's brought Big E in, called him in as a surprise to both Moss and Crappy Corbin. Cue Big E preacher voice. It doesn't abide by the standing on the ring apron thing. Corbin and Moss stand their narrow behinds on the floor while Kofi puts in work. I sigh. He was a WWE champion not 2 months ago. Kayla signs out with Kofi cackling. Literally cackling. He was Universal Champion not 4 years ago. But if you're unlike me If you cannot get enough of the New Day in their current iteration, oh, you're in for a treat. Why, you may ask? Kofi Kingston and Big E will take on Madcap Moss and Baron Corbin tonight on SmackDown. Great. I finally have an answer to my late May Raw Talk review. Is New Day okay? After some ads, we get Johnny Knoxville's righteous indignation at Sami Zayn making a mockery of his profession, which is making a mockery of himself and his friends. As part of Zayn, Sami has been pretending to be shocked by cattle prods until Johnny Knoxville supposedly turns it on, and Sami Zayn pretends harder to get for real shocked. I mean, I don't think the idea behind this was to be zapped, pun intended, by reality, but if the electricity sound effect had been on time, that would have helped me out at least a little bit. You know, hey, I want to pretend too. But points given for Sami acting like he was dying in the ring. Like, he really sold that shock hard. Then Knoxville threw him out of the ring again. Killer asks how Sami Zayn is feeling after being shocked. He begs her repeatedly to stop smiling at him. That she was cheering like everyone else when electric current went through his body. He can still feel it running through his fingertips. He wants to know why we relish in his pain. Braxton brings up Johnny Knoxville, who also seems to be relishing at his pain. Sami Zayn says he doesn't have to prepare for him at the Royal Rumble. He's gonna get him back in a way that will be so satisfying he'll come back and laugh in Kayla's face, just like she's been laughing at him. Then he'll defeat Shinsuke Nakamura, who apparently has been dodging him, and reclaim his Intercontinental Championship. Kayla wishes him luck. Following more ads, there's replay of the never-ending story that's somehow still only a page long. Charlotte and Naomi's one-on-one match, refereed by Sonya Deville. I feel like I've seen this somewhere before. It's so familiar. The janky calls. The surprise referee. The overall screwiness. Deja vu. Sonya got knocked out of the ring right when Naomi had Charlotte beat, but somehow managed to get right back up, but still not count Charlotte's shoulders down. Then when Naomi is put in the figure 4, before Charlotte can even get her into the figure 8, Sonya calls for the bell, even though Naomi didn't tap out. This also seems a bit too familiar. It wasn't cute then, and it's less cute now. I mean, is anyone else disgusted by all of this as I am? I love Naomi, and she doesn't deserve this. She deserves to give Sonya, the royalist of all royal beatdowns. Even when Naomi had the chance to beat the black off Sonya when she took her jacket off. Well, she's not black. But when Naomi had the chance to beat some black on Sonya, then beat it off of her when she taken her jacket off, did she do it? No! There's no catharsis. There's no catharsis in wrestling. Just an endless trail of suffering and frustration. Like my love life. Before bringing King back in, Redmond notes how this problem between Sonya and Naomi has been going on. And on. And on. Once again, she must be reading my mind. King says Naomi better be careful because Sonya hasn't been the same since that house fell on her sister, and she might end up calling out the flying monkeys. Now, admittedly, I've never watched nor read The Wizard of Oz all the way through, so it took me a second to get his reference. They ask for King's Royal Rumble match pick. King says he makes his predictions and he sticks with them. So he chooses AJ Styles, then Johnny Knoxville, then Kevin Owens. After some more ads, the pair acknowledge Sheamus' hot streak and the impending 10-year anniversary of his Royal Rumble win. There's something so humorous to me about the brogue kick, and maybe it's Ricochet's selling of it. In particular, it almost looks like he's about to decapitate the man. Not trying to be insensitive or anything, but it's just that crazy. At this point, the brutality is less about avenging Ridge Holland and more about Sheamus making a statement, covering that last mile of ground between him and having won all of the titles that there are to win in WWE. Matt Camp brings up some interesting points. One, that amongst all of the people who've declared for the Royal Rumble, Sheamus is the only one who's actually won before. And he's been part of the Final Four in 4 of the Royal Rumble matches. He brings up the prospect of Roman Reigns perhaps dodging Sheamus a little bit. And he's his pick at the very least to have the most eliminations. Now, if that were to happen, the resulting feud with Roman could be potentially fascinating stuff. We do have one of the most devastating moments in my life as a fan when Sheamus cashed in on Roman a mere 5 minutes and 15 seconds after he became WWE Champion to end his reign. There's so much possibility there if they want to go in that direction. They then introduced someone who they emphasize again and again and again as a very special guest. They step in, and it's Eric Bischoff. He extends his enthusiasm to be there in Knoxville, to be able to, just as he said, stick his toe in the water, say hi to some folks, and then head back home. Kayla asks Bischoff's opinion about the Universal Championship match between Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins. He refers to it as an interesting game of chess because Seth Rollins has been playing these mind games with Roman, with the wins that he has over him, the history that they have together. But he also says that that gives Roman something to prove, which could backfire on Rollins. When asked about Roman's record-breaking 500-plus day reign, Bischoff notes he's had it so long now, the championship, that it's his now. That makes it personal, and when it's personal, it's dangerous. I am an absolute fangirl for Eric Bischoff, so it was lovely to see him on television again in WWE. Even that tiny little bit of insight made me hungry again to see how he would apply his skills to a 2022 WWE, even having stretched now into other avenues. So my rating is 4 out of 5. New Day is back to the giggling and the hopping around. And I'm sorry, but it hurts me as a black woman to see that. I go back and forth on whether or not I like them and whether it's kind of too much. And credit to them for straddling that line correctly sometimes. But man, this time it was a little more on the side of embarrassing. I was hoping Woods becoming King of the Ring would kind of give it some edge. And it did for a bit, but now he's injured. I was hoping Big E being WWE Champion would do it. And so I just don't know anymore. Eric Bischoff gives us just enough of himself to remind us why we miss him on television, but not so much that we're saddened by the passage of time. I think that's a really super important balance to actually strike. But our must-watch segment? Sami Zayn. He had that mix of comedy and legitimacy. He did it as only Sami Zayn could. He's giving credence to Johnny Knoxville being part of the Royal Rumble and making me care about it through his idea of Knoxville coming into Sami Zayn's world. A place he hasn't earned. Somewhere he just doesn't belong. Plus, I love the way he brings Kayla into it. She's the proxy you people, since we can't see anyone else. So what do you all think? Has Roman finally met his drip match? What would dig this Sonya-Naomi feud out of its funk? If Sheamus wins the Royal Rumble, will he be the first man to main event WrestleMania for the Intercontinental Championship alone? Who will eliminate who in the Royal Rumble? Johnny Knoxville or Sami Zayn? Let me know in the comments. Be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Tap that bell icon to make sure you get notifications for when new videos come out. And don't forget to be on the lookout for my Royal Rumble predictions video. It's coming out tomorrow. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you soon.